Hello beautiful bookish friends, welcome to another vlog. My name is Kathleen. This is my little side of the internet, and here we talk about all things bookish, and we are diving into another reading vlog where we will be reading one of my top tier series, which is the Legendborn series, and we're going to be reading book 2 and book 3. So Bloodmarked and Oathbound will be read in this reading vlog. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I have a fun reading date planned with my husband tonight where we are both going to start Bloodmarked together, and we are just going to make it the most fun time of our lives. I'm just so absolutely hyped to finally be diving back into this world and learning about all that happens with my girl Bree. So yeah, a little backstory about this series. It follows Bree Matthews, who is a young girl who lost her mother tragically to an accident. She decides to go participate in UNC Chapel Hill's program to help prepare high school students for college, to kind of get away from home and to kind of better process her grief away from her father's grief, because that was kind of really messing with her. And so lo and behold, on her first night at campus, she witnesses a demon. She witnesses a demon fight. She witnesses a Legendborn fighting and trying to subdue a demon. And although the mage tries to mesmer her, which is basically to cause her to forget what she has seen and to not remember anything, this fails, and she becomes suspicious of the mesmer and becomes suspicious of the Legendborn in general, due to the fact that this triggers a memory that she has of the night of her mother's death, where she remembers being mesmered or having someone mesmer her at that time. So she begins to wonder if possibly her mother's death wasn't accidental at all, and if it actually had something to do with the Legendborn. So she concocts this plan to infiltrate the Legendborn to get to the truth about what happened the night that her mother passed, and to see if they had anything to do with what happened to her mother. And this leads her on this wild adventure of discovering more about who she really is, her lineage, and her specific journey when it comes to her heritage and her history. It's amazing series. Love it. And we're going to be getting into book 2 tonight. I'm so excited. Hi friends! So it is a couple of days later. I didn't get to read much of this book this weekend because I realized I have a library hold that's going to be due soon, that I need to get through that book. So I've been reading that. But from what little I've started of Bloodmarked, my initial thoughts are this is going to be an epic book just from the first 58 pages that I have read. This is going to be an epic book where a lot of stuff is going down, and we're gonna see Bree in this new role. We're gonna see her kind of in this tug of war that she's going to be in due to the events of the last book. We're going to see her in this tug of war kind of mentally and emotionally, and finding her ground and finding her stability in this new world that she's kind of thrust into. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that. We're also getting a lot more world building with this as well. We're seeing kind of the worlds of the Legendborn in a new way and in a new light, and we're getting more scope about kind of how they work and how they function, which is very interesting. We are also seeing kind of the dynamics between Bree and Sel, as they kind of are with the events of the last book, how they kind of ended between them and how things are kind of going between them now is also very interesting. And I don't know, currently the vibe or the feeling that I'm getting from Bree is a lot of, I guess, pent up frustration and feeling kind of trapped and overwhelmed. And it totally makes sense for everything that she's been through. I'm interested to see how this is going to kind of develop and change her character from this, and how she's going to grow from this. I'm very interested to see how that plays out over these pages in this book. It's very interesting, but she still has that fierce, fiery personality that I love her for. She still kind of has a little bit of an attitude, and I love that, because girl, same slick mouth and attitude over here always. And I love seeing strong female lead characters that are just not docile and meek, but that are just really strong authentically in their personalities. And while they're still strong, I also love to see the complexities that this Bree embodies, as even though she's this strong and fierce character, she still has these things that she's working through emotionally and mentally that makes her very vulnerable. And we're seeing the complexities of that. We're seeing all these different layers that exist within her and this new stage of her life where she is currently now. And I don't know, just the character development is always fascinating. Tracy Deonn does such a good job with that. She also does an amazing job with just the world building. I'm having a fabulous time and I cannot wait to get back into this book. So yeah, I will see you later. I don't know when. I really am trying to get some other fun stuff or include fun stuff in the blog, but I don't know if that is necessary or if we just focus on the books. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I will see you in the next. Hey bookish friends, so it is time for a 50% update because I'm to be honest, I'm actually 58% in or through Bloodmarked at this point, and I'm having a fabulous time. Top tier reading experience. As what else were we expecting? We were not expecting anything less from the great Tracy Deonn. But I think the things that I'm really enjoying so far in this installment, in this story, and that I'm really appreciating is seeing the complexity of Bree. And I guess what I mean is in Legendborn, in the first book of the series, we see Bree grow so much and deal with so many different things associated with her grief, with her identity, and just so many different things we saw her kind of go through. We saw her coming against like systemic racism. We saw her coming against a lot in the first book. And we still see her coming against these same kind of challenges and obstacles, but in a new way, in a kind of new way, and in new situations. And I'm appreciating that we're now again seeing Bree under pressure, and how this is going to help her to grow and develop as a character. And I think one of the things that I'm really noticing so far in this story is how with Bree, she has this tendency to kind of make split-second decisions for everyone and not really think things through. And I think this basically kind of speaks to her trying to find out her kind of way and who she is as a leader, and kind of stepping into that role authentically and taking ownership of these situations and circumstances, and being able to kind of make better choices, make better decisions, and to seek conflict resolution. Because we still see Bree at this point being very emotional and making emotionally charged decisions. And of course, we know she's a young adult. This is on point for being a young adult placed in these unique situations of extreme stress and trauma and grief and frustration. So it's totally on par. But I like that we're seeing these things come out. We're seeing these things unfold. We are seeing kind of the different dynamics of her being this flawed character, and exploring how she's kind of learning her way through this. And I'm so enjoying that. I really am enjoying that. Again, to reference back to what I was saying earlier before I went on this little tangent, we see her as she's kind of making these decisions based upon not necessarily where she is in this phase and stage of her life and of her journey, but she still is kind of basing them off of before Bree, we'll say. And she's not really taking into consideration her current like situation, and kind of like currently how she is and how she is presenting in this specific stage of her life. So when she's making these decisions and when she's coming up with these ideas or these plans that they should do, she's not taking that into consideration. She's also not taking into consideration how other people around her will have to like sacrifice because of these ideas and these plans that she's enacting, and that she's thinking it's for the greater good, or she's thinking that this is of course naturally what everyone wants and what everyone should be doing, but she's not kind of thinking like I don't know, she's not kind of thinking of how like maybe we shouldn't do it this way and we should come at it this other way. That doesn't mean we don't care, and that doesn't mean that we don't circle back to this, but like right now, like your safety is the top priority, and you can't save people when you're drowning. And she's just trying to do that whole thing where, you know how people, we see a lot in fantasy novels, they want to save the world, but in order to save the world, you've got to take care of yourself. And she's not doing that. She's endlessly trying to pour from an empty cup and trying to do all those things. And it's like, girl, you got to take care of you first, and you got to figure out exactly what's going on in this game so you'll know how to show up, and you can better play it and have a better advantage and a better chance for actually being successful and coming at it that way. So exploring that, and her kind of like understanding what she needs to be, what she needs to do, and how she needs to kind of present herself and to think critically and problem solve in order to be a better leader, is fascinating. And I love how she's not stubborn. Once she kind of recognizes these, and these things are kind of pointed out to her in regards to her personality, she is like, crap. And she will like recognize it, and you can see her doing the actual like mental and emotional work to unpack that in real time. I'm loving it. I love everything about this story so far. It's really got me gooped, gagged. I'm immersed in it. It's such a propulsive read. There is something always happening. I cannot breathe with this book. From the first freaking sentence, I have not been able to breathe because something is always going on. Something is going off. Something is popping off. And, whew, it's a wild ride. We are also seeing a lot of who the order really is. They're kind of revealing who they actually are. And man, whew, had me all kind of upset. I was feeling all the emotions. I was yelling, I was, crying, all the emotions. This has been an emotional roller coaster, and man, I love that. I love books that just pull you in emotionally and that are just that compelling, with characters that just feel so real to you that you become so invested with. And yeah, it's been an amazing ride so far. Looking forward to continuing reading this tonight, diving into it, getting some pages read, and hopefully finishing it soon, hopefully by this weekend, so that I can start Oathbound next. But I'm in no rush. I'm in no rush to read all these books, because one, I want to enjoy and savor this experience, because I have not been this ecstatic and excited about a fantasy series in a long time. So I want to treasure and romanticize this experience as much as I can. I don't want to rush it. And also because after I finish Oathbound, I don't know when I'm going to get the next book. So I'm not trying to fly through this series and then kind of be stuck, not knowing when I'm going to get the next book and feeling all the feels. And from what I have seen on social media, it is a cliffhanger. So I'm not gonna rush. I'm not gonna rush. We're gonna take our time with this. But I am enjoying myself so very much. So yeah, let me get ready to unwind for the night so that I can get ready to do some reading, and I will see you in the next clip. All right, friends, sliding in with another update. I am 76% of my way through Bloodmarked. We are in the final stretch, and woo! This book has been like one thing after another, after another, after another, like back to back, like very action-packed. I cannot catch my breath until something else is revealed or something else happens. Like I can't breathe. And I don't even know what to say about the past kind of actions and things that have transpired. Like I don't know what to say and not spoil what's going on in this. Just my feelings. How do I even share my feelings? Like I don't know. Like I just feel so, I empathize so much with Bree. I see so much of like my younger self in Bree. I feel all of the conflicting emotions that she feels. And at the same time, I'm like yelling at the book at Bree, and I'm like, girl, no, don't do that. So there's that aspect of it. I think that Bree's friendship with Alice is top tier. Like we all need an Alice in our lives. There's just something so beautiful about their friendship, how it has blossomed and grown. Because when I was first reading Legendborn, their friendship at the beginning was kind of like frail and was fraying, but they rebounded. And I don't know, it's just really good and beautiful to see that Bree has someone like that on her side and in her corner that just gets her and understands her, and just the little things that Alice does and the way that she always checks in with Bree and just the way she loves her. And just let's talk about the way that everybody just loves and looks out for Bree. It's so beautiful that she has such a strong support system while she is going through this wild and tumultuous upheaval in her life, because there are just so many things that are being thrown her way when it comes to just all that she's going through internally and all the things that are happening externally as well. And I don't know, it's just interesting to, not that it's interesting, that's the wrong word. I think it's beautiful that she has such a strong support system with the people that are surrounding her, and just how loved and cherished she is. And I'm enjoying seeing that. Right now, we're at this critical place in this story where you can feel that we are just ramping up towards the conclusion of this book and of the events in this book leading into Oathbound. And I don't know, I'm nervous about what is going to happen. I'm so nervous. And I actually don't have any theories. I have absolutely no theories. I'm just really anxious about how everything is going to play out in this conclusion. Trying to figure out how all these loose ends are going to get tied, which are not going to be completely tied because this is the second book in a series and we have a third book, Oathbound. But I don't know. And when it comes to the writing of this, the writing is just so amazing. Like Tracy Deonn did such a magnificent job of crafting and creating such an intricate, well thought out world with like epic world building. And I'm enjoying that we have expanded upon the world building in this book and that it has just grown. And as always, she is the master of blending these action-packed, plot-driven elements with really thought out and intentional character-driven elements to move this story forward and to move this plot forward. And it makes for such an immersive, engaging, and just captivating read that you cannot put down. And it's propulsive. Like the pages literally turn themselves, and I am enjoying that aspect of this. Bree is, while she is a flawed character, she is so insanely likable and relatable. And not even just that she's likable and relatable, because there's some things about Brie that I can't relate to and that I can't see as, you know, an adult woman. But I don't know, there's just something so captivating about her, something so that you want to protect her. And just everything that she stands for when it comes to her journey and her purpose and her intention. It's just an amazing story. And I'm nervous about what's gonna happen to poor Brie because she's just been through so much. Nervous about Nick. What's gonna happen with Nick? What's going on with him? What's going on with my friend? Sal, oh. Sal, I love Sal. I really do. I love my complicated, little, dramatic, emotional emo boy, because sometimes, even though he has a little bit of an attitude problem and a slick mouth, he does hit on some very truthful and factual points. And he has a valid point for a lot of things, and he does have some really good insights. So I really do love Sal. I love William. I don't know, he's amazing. And I love the way that he is so supportive and that he loves Brie as well. I just love the people that she has surrounded or is surrounded by. I love the people that are surrounding her right now. I'm terrified of what's going to happen as they move into this next stage of this story and after these events that have transpired. And I just hope that Brie is truly believing and accepting and taking all of this love and support in, because I do feel like sometimes it's difficult for her to like receive all this, and that she kind of doubts that people genuinely care about her because of her unique situation and where she is. She just thinks of herself as, I can't say it, but she thinks of herself as XYZ. And it's kind of like she thinks of herself as a commodity first and a person second, because she thinks that everyone else around her views her as a commodity and not as an actual person with feelings and thoughts and all these great complexities and all these great things. But something that William was like trying to drive home, and even Sal was trying to drive home in this last scene that I read, is that, you know, it's not about you being a commodity that has us so ready to and willing to like do everything for you and have your back. It's because of who you are as a person, because we do see you and your worth and your value. And I just hope that she opens up and that she receives that, because I know she's gone through so much. I know her journey is wild, I know, but I really hope that she opens up and receives this love, and she lets it fill her, because she needs it. She's still grieving the loss of her mother. She's navigating grief on another scale when it comes to other things that are happening in her life, that she's grieving these things that have transpired. She's grieving these elements in her life that have contributed to this epic change. So I just really hope that she opens up to that love and support. And yeah, I am going to take a shower. I'm going to get comfortable, and then I'm going to come in here and tuck in, and we're going to do some more reading, because I need to make some progress in this book and see what's going on, because hopefully I should be able to finish it tomorrow, if not tonight. So, or maybe the next day, I don't know, because I'm not rushing reading this book, because I'm treasuring this, because we have Oathbound, and after that, it's going to be wild for you, the next book. So I'm treasuring reading this book. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I will catch you guys in the next clip. friends, it is time for me to finally finish Bloodmarked. According to my app, I am 87% complete with this, and I have 1 hour and 24 minutes remaining of this book. And yeah, it's time to get this done. I have emotional support brownies. I am locked and loaded. I am ready. I am showered. I have done all the skincare, exfoliated. I am good. I am in the good mental space. I am ready to see what pops off and preparing to have my heart potentially broken. So let's dive into it, guys. All right, friends, so I am here to wrap this reading blog up and to close it out, as I finished Bloodmarked last night, and literally it put me in such a book hangover. It was such an emotional and impactful ending for me. Yeah, I enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 fabulous stars. I'm quite interested to see where this story is going, but it really emotionally wrecked me, the end of this book, and how everything ended up shaping up for this cliffhanger of a conclusion. And honestly, I was bawling. But before I dive into Oathbound, I have to take a bit of a break just to digest all of this. So I'm probably gonna read Oathbound in May. So I'm gonna take a little break from this, take a breather, clear my head, and then dive back into the series, because this, again, I've been saying this, but this is something that for me, it's a bit of an emotional punch. Especially since for me, I do read young adult books. They're part of my rotation of what I read. But for me, I do read young adult books typically because there is a lot of trauma from my personal experience as a teenager. And I have found that when it comes to healing those parts of myself and working through some of the ways that it's kind of altered and changed me in my adult life, reading young adult books helped me to kind of better understand myself and help to heal that traumatized teenager that still lives within me. And reading books like this is a big help, because there's so much of my experience as a teenager that I can see reflected back to me within Bree's journey, especially when it pertains to grief, her struggling with her identity, struggling with mental health and coming of age. It really hits hard. And yeah, so this is something that I want to pace myself with because of that, because it's a very emotional and visceral experience for me reading the series. And that's why I love it so much. And I'm just so a diehard fan of the series. But at the same time, we have to be mindful of our mental and emotional health and well-being. So I'll probably put a pause in the series for this month, and we'll come back to it in May, ready to kind of wrap the 4th book up while we wait patiently for Tracy Deonn to finish and publish the next installment. But my thoughts on this, I have so many thoughts. All of them are spoilery, so I can't even get into them, because we're gonna keep this strictly non-spoilery, because I want people to not be spoiled for this series, because I think it's something that you should kind of experience for the first time yourself. But non-spoilery thoughts, I think I'll just actually, you know what? I think I'll share my non-spoilery thoughts, and then I'll pop something up on the screen and share my spoiler thoughts, because there are some things that I really want to go into. But non-spoilery thoughts, this story just delivered when it comes to providing such a thorough exploration of grief and trauma as it comes to our personal lived trauma, and also when it comes to generational trauma, when it comes to dissecting kind of the metaphor that we see with the order as it pertains to white supremacy and systemic racism, and when it comes to the root crafters as it pertains to that being or symbolizing Blackness and the Black community. And also when it comes to the story about what it feels like to be a Black person, trying to live and navigate in a world where everyone is predominantly white around you, and trying to be the first in these spaces and places. It depicts this so beautifully. And I highly recommend this for parents. I actually would recommend this for parents to read with your young adult child. I think this would be great to explore those more complex topics, talking about microaggressions, having conversations about white supremacy, about systemic racism, and how it presents itself in the workforce, in the real world, and having conversations with your young adult teen about these things. Also, if you have your teen that is going through like a time of either their mental health or they're dealing with like complex trauma or grief, this will be a great book to kind of help them articulate and make sense of their feelings, to help them better navigate that, and so that you can have more productive conversations with them where they can like voice their feelings and feel safe in doing so. I think this would be a great book for parents to read alongside with their teens and get a better understanding of their teenagers, and just, I think, deepen that relationship with your teen and explore some of these themes and topics that are covered in this story. I think that would be beautiful, and I do highly recommend it for that. Or even if you're just a parent and you want to read this series so that you can better understand your teen, I think that would be dope as hell. I think that would be dope as hell. I know that I would do that if I had kids, but I do not have kids. Also, the most fascinating and amazing thing to me in this story is, again, Bree's growth and her transformation as a character. And just, I love that she's so deeply flawed and she's so much of herself. And it's just a true indication of her age and her stage and her emotional and mental development and where she is at this point of her life. It all tracks and it all makes sense for me. Also considering kind of like where she is in the grand scheme of this situation and these circumstances that she's finding herself in. So I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, so I think that's kind of all of my non-spoilery thoughts. So let's talk about some of my spoilery thoughts when it comes to Bloodmarked. And I think for a lot of people, and I've noticed when I have been on threads, a lot of people have been mentioning, you know, I can't believe she made that decision in the end. I can't believe she made that decision. And it doesn't shock me. It doesn't shock me, Bree's final decision and what she did in the end. It does not shock me. It makes sense to me because when you look at the context of the situation, and I'm not really clear when people say the decision, if they're talking about her decision to allow Arthur to like take over for her and fight against the order, the regents, or if it was at the tail end when she kind of let the Shadow King, she kind of like allowed the Shadow King to kind of like take her, and she was like, I want to like learn from you about growing and becoming more powerful and becoming stronger. So I'll speak to the first, when she was like allowing Arthur to take over her. She made that decision because her friends and people that she cared about were in trouble. And true to Bree's nature, Bree really is a fierce and loyal person. She loves very hard and very fiercely. And on top of that, if you think about that, she just lost her mom. And I can tell you from my experiences with grief, when you lose a person, it makes you become one of two ways. Either you cling harder to people and to relationships than you normally would because of your fear of losing them and being abandoned by them, or you push people away. And what we have seen Bree do throughout this story are the people that she cares about and that she develops an emotional bond with. She clings to fiercely, and she will do anything to protect them and to keep them safe and to prevent them from being hurt. And she, in her mind, feels like it's her duty and it's her responsibility to do that. And that's one of the things that she struggles with throughout the first book and throughout this book as well. So it tracks that she would say, you know what, I will do the last ditch resort thing that I don't even want to do and let Arthur take over me in order to defeat the regents so that my friends can be safe. If that means that I have to take this L. And again, she was thinking that he was only going to, you know, take over her body for a limited time. She didn't know that he had a sinister plan in play, but she was thinking about saving her friends. So again, that decision to me makes sense. The indecision of pretty much allowing the Shadow King to take her and I guess kind of working with him also makes sense because of in lieu of everything that happened with the end events, with Alice being in a coma, with Cell having the demonia like overtaking him, and the reality that Alice, her condition is in part responsible for her decision to allow Arthur to take over her body, and he just abused that right and just kind of like forced her aside and just took over her body by force and wasn't letting her back. And that led to that accident. And also when it comes to Cell, part of her decision to let Arthur kind of like take over her body and all that kind of happened because of that and them coming to rescue her, he made a decision and again sacrificed his life for her. So she at this point is feeling all sorts of guilt, all sorts of grief all over again. And she is feeling like the one thing that is the common denominator in these situations is her. And so she's taking a lot of blame and she's punishing herself in a way. And that's why she's doing this, because she is in her way feeling, I believe, that if I take myself out of this equation, these people can be safe and they can live better without me. And also I think another part of that is because categorically throughout this story she has not had power or control. She has been manipulated and controlled, and everyone telling her what she can and can't do. And she sees this as an opportunity to take control of her narrative and say, yeah, I want to learn how to be powerful. I want to learn how to use my powers. I want to learn how to be strong so that I get the choice and I get the say about what happens next in my story, and that I can defeat all that comes before me, and I can defeat and slay my enemies and like not be at the whim of somebody else's mercy. And she's wanting to take control of her narrative. And after all that she has been through, you know, having Arthur take up residence in her and trying to like continually like overtake her and like abuse his power, having the Order, you know, basically like kidnap her and hold her hostage and experiment on her and take away her power for what they thought was their good or their epic diabolical plan, which was all built on, we know, bias and racism and an agenda. She has not had a choice. And also, if you think about it, even with her ancestors, even with Vera, she didn't have a choice when it came to being a part of this bloodline and of this heritage, and having this heritage where she's basically bloodmarked and beholden to a demon in a sense. She had no say in any of these things. And this is her act of taking ownership of her narrative and finally being like, I get a say, I get a choice, and this is what I'm choosing, is to get powerful and get strong for me so that I can defeat and defy all these odds that are stacked up against me. And that is what and why she's doing, and she made the decision and the choices that she did. So it makes, for me, everything makes sense to me in this story. I feel her journey is just so epic, and it's so cathartic to me to follow and along and read these books and just explore everything. And it's so, these stories are so beautifully written. They're so multi-layered. There's so many different dimensions to these stories. I really enjoyed in this book also the expansion on the world building. How we got to kind of learn more about the Order, about Rootcraft, about her history, and see more about what makes Bree so unique and what makes her, as Valak says, a powerhouse. We got to see all of those dynamics, and I really appreciate how, while building upon this world and blowing it up to this epic scope, Dion still sticks true to this premise, still sticks true to the original storyline, and she just continues to add and compound it. And it doesn't feel convoluted, it doesn't feel too much, it still all fits and is interwoven together and assimilates to this like singular narrative. And I appreciate that. That to me is just beautiful storytelling, beautiful writing, and her characterization is magnificent. I highly, highly love it. I enjoy it. And yeah, so this novel, this series, this story for me is phenomenal. Love it. 5 fabulous stars. I'm taking a break because my little heart needs it. I cannot wait to next month dive into Oathbound and see what all the fuss is about that. Yeah, but that is all for this reading vlog. I hope you enjoy it. I don't know, it's probably a little chaotic because I'm not used to recording for a reading vlog, but I will get better. I will get better, and this will become more comfortable, and this will become something that I've become used to a little bit more and I can expand on and have fun with. So we can look forward to that, and I will definitely have to do an Oathbound reading vlog next month when I read that. So that is all for this reading vlog. Let me know your thoughts about the Legendborn series. What are your thoughts about Bloodmarked? Have you read it? Have you not? Let's talk about it in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.